Sweaty Zenith. All right. So yeah, like I said, I'll do a quick overview. We finally got the 20 for sure. Solid. I was pushing 20s consistently, pushing bosses. Definitely need a little RNG in your favor, but the build is super strong. Obviously, it can only get stronger. I'm going to, now that I've successfully done a 20 clear with the Selig, I'm going to try to figure out a way if I can somehow use Banish Lords instead, kind of like what Whirlwind is doing, but just stick with the chains instead of the Whirlwind. I just prefer it. But yeah, so we finally did it, and feels real nice. But I'll go over the gear. Gear's pretty much the same. Paragon is definitely different, but should be updated in the even in the original build video. That link to in the comments, it should be updated. That should be the one that's fully updated as I make changes. What I feel is better, but I'll make sure go and double check. Anybody watching the new build guide, the updated version, same thing. Check the comments and look for the build guide there. But in terms of gear, obviously Shaco still. The DR chest with disobedience, nothing really changed here. The gauntlets, I can't remember if I had crit on the original one or not, but I think I talked about I wanted to get rid of crit, so that's what I did. I have strength instead of crit because you don't need it when you have the red fear. So yeah, just main stat, attack speeds, same thing. Intercom, and so let me talk about intercom. Some people don't understand how it works with the build, because obviously if you move, see how your attack bar goes, like you lose intercom, right? Well, when you're in the actual dungeon, this is a big part of it working well too. You try to, and in combination with these boots, attacks reduce the cooldown. When you compare, or when you combine the attacks reduce evade cooldown boots, like that implicit, with intercom, you can hop. I call it hopping. It's just, you know, evading, right? So I'll hop over here and then hammer twice, and then hop over here and then hammer twice or 3 times or whatever I need to reset my evade, and then I just keep hopping around. And when you hop around, it actually does not take away your set. See how my stacks are gone if I move, but if I hop or evade, whatever you want to call it, the stacks stay up. It does not go away. So the key is, it's a very important part, but in doing that, I have a massive amount of uptime. Again, it's not going to be 100% uptime, but when you're fighting, if you're fighting properly, you're going to have pretty much unless you run out of fury or have to abort or whatever, you got that 30% the whole time, because you're hopping around rather than running around, right? So just keep hopping as much as you can. You got to swing at least twice to reset your evade, and then hop again. So swing, hop, swing, hop, or you could do up to 4 swings depending on the pull, depending on how comfortable you are. But yeah, that's a very, very important thing that a lot of people probably don't understand when it comes to intercom working with the way the build works. Again, hop around. And a lot of times you'll see me, if you actually pay attention to how I'm trying to pull the mobs in the instance, I'll hop away from them in the direction that I'm trying to go to get to the next pack, and I'll pull them with me, right? But I'm trying, my goal is to hop as much as I can rather than run. At times, again, you're gonna have to run, obviously, especially if you kill an elite pack, finish the elite pack, run to the next one, or if it's just all situational. But if you can, especially in like the tight quarter areas, try to hop and pull, hop and pull, because then you keep up your intercom and you're pulling them into the next pack. Again, it's all time management stuff. So those are 2 big things, and why I like the build, you know, and being able to control what I'm doing, because I can set myself up. It's not only am I able to pull things along with me as I hop and keep my stuff up, but also one of the big benefits of Seal Grasp is it makes things vulnerable, which for Decimator, the actual the Paragon node, the legendary node, for my testing, Metamorphosis, it triggers the one time, but when you so let's say I evade through something and proc Metamorphosis, that initial time procs Decimator, but then after that it won't. So especially in boss fights and like when you have big pulls and stuff, even if I don't necessarily need to pull anything on me, I'll still throw it out to get that 5-second buff, right? The Decimator buff. So again, those are all little key things that will make you significantly stronger once you're aware of that and understand how it all works. So again, hopping is huge to keep your intercom up, also to time it better so that you can pull things with you. And then in addition to that, like I said, you're constantly triggering Decimator by doing that as well. And on top of it, let's say you run out of berserk for whatever reason, right? If it's elite packs, or you're boss fighting or whatever, right? You're not necessarily proccing the bleed kill anymore for blood rage. So then to keep your berserk up. So then if your shouts are, you know, you want to be cycling your shouts as well, but that helps you get berserking as well. So again, it's just, there's a lot going on with Steel Grasp that you just need to understand that how it works in order to best utilize it. So again, boss fights, especially, you want to be throwing out grasps when you can, not only to pull them in, but also to trigger the vulnerable and the berserking. And because when you're berserking, you're not only doing more damage, of course, but you're also getting more DR. So against the Seekers, it's very important to keep that up. And then cycle that as well with your shouts, right? So Rallying Cry, for example, I'd never use Rallying Cry, whether it's a boss fight or big pulls or whatever. I'm never using Challenging Shout and Rallying Cry at the exact same time. Unless I get like the channeling shrine, right, to get like where you get reduces your cooldowns or whatever. That's the only time I might pop them all, because to get them back again faster. But even then, I try to cycle it as much as I can. And then Warcry is more, you want to set up with you want to set that up more with like bursts, right? So try to pay attention to your overpowers, right, and try to time that so you get more value from the Warcries as well. These are all things you don't necessarily need to do it, but if you're pushing and trying to min-max, these are all things that are going through my mind as I'm pushing, trying to make it through, right? I don't want to Rally Cry. I don't want to Challenge Shout at the same time. I want to cycle those. And again, based on what I'm doing, if I'm in an area where I can get one shot, which will happen, especially if you're trying to set things up, like if a Ballista or something is around, or a Wrath Phantom or whatever, like you can get one shot if you have nothing, no defenses up, no nothing, right? Especially if you have a low fury. But so if I start a big pull and the mob type is a little bit more dangerous, I'll start out with Challenging Shout rather than Rallying Cry. And then vice versa. Like if the mobs are a little easier, I'll Rallying Cry first. And again, that's just a trial and error thing. Kind of play it out for yourself, feel it out for yourself. But I do try to pick what I'm doing based on the situation and scenario that's happening, right? So just try to practice that and get better with that. And then, like I said, when it comes to Warcry, that you can stack with either way, however you want to do it. Wrath of the Berserker, another thing, like I try to use that as a burst with Warcry, especially, like, again, just to get bigger damage, bigger hits, whatever. But it's a lot of that situational based on the pulls, based on what I'm doing, right? But yeah, so there's a lot going on. Like I said, it's definitely not the easiest build to play by any means in terms of playing it, but there's not really any weapon swapping or snapshotting or you know, none of that type of exploit stuff going on. I'm not even item swapping, really. I've tried item swapping Banish Lords when I get like a protection shrine, but it just doesn't work well, because Tabolts actually triggers a lot of, because you're constantly hopping, I'm constantly getting a lot of fury back from that as well. That's why, again, it all works really well. Once you understand it, once you're doing it and get the hang of it, it makes a lot more sense, and it feels really good. There's a lot going on, but again, you just, as you learn it and understand it better, the more it just works out. Because again, the hopping part, not only does hopping keep your inner calm stacks up and allow you to keep moving and while pulling, right, but also you're triggering constantly the 50 primary resource plus whatever you're, you know, on top of that is, but it constantly keeps it up. It's a big part of staying full fury, and a lot of people in the stream ask me all the time, how do you keep your fury up? How do you keep your fury up? That's a big part of it. Not only do you need the gear, but you have to understand how it all works to keep it up as well. Cycling your shouts, constantly hopping, all that stuff is how I keep my fury as high as it is, whether I'm fighting a big pack or bosses or whatever. And again, it'll take a little bit to get used to, but you know, I'm trying to help you guys understand it better for anybody interested in actually trying the build and trying to push with the build, especially. But it's strong. I'm going to try to figure out a way to use Banish Lords instead of Selig, like I said. But anyways, so I just wanted to go over some tips and tricks, hopefully helpful insight to help you guys, anybody trying to try the build, you know, whatever. That's why, yeah, on the intercom side of it. But anyways, so yeah, intercom, Tabolt's Will, of course, again, a huge part of it, getting your resource back. I have triple resistance. So I have lightning, poison, shadow here, and then you can see in my jewelry I have one cold gem and one fire gem. That's all the 5 types, and then I have an all resist in my other ring. And the reason for that is, like I said, in doing that in combination with my Paragon, I have max resist without needing an incense or anything like that. The only incense I'm using is Chorus of War and then the resourceful elixir when I'm pushing. Other than that, like, I don't need anything else really. But yeah, so, and then movement speed, of course. But again, the tax reduce evades cooldown actually helps a lot. I know a lot of people like max evade, but for this and the way the synergy works, once you understand it, like I said, swing twice at least. You can swing more than that, but 2 swings and you can hop again. It's really important. That's why a lot of times you'll see me swinging twice as I'm running through a dungeon. So that's so that I get another evade charge, so I can keep evading as well. So like I said, there's a lot going on. But the more you play it, the more you understand, the better you'll get with it, and the more fun it becomes, because you have so much control. You're in complete control, which I love. That's what I like most about the build. But yeah, Limitless Rage, of course. Ancestral Force, again, same stuff. Edgemaster, Grandfather, Red Fuhrer. The Overpower, again, no crit here, because we don't need it, because we're running Red Fuhrer. Running Overpower damage Berserking, Max Fury, Resource Gen, and then Unrelenting Fury. If you are having if you're not able to figure out how to fight the bosses at the end with Unrelenting, then you could swap out to Echoing Fury. I don't do that because I don't need to. But some people say they have issues, especially with the bosses. Echoing Fury could help you with that. And then also on my ring, you'll see one of my rings is actually fire resistant, and one of my rings is cold resistance. That's important too, to be able to hit the max resistance. I should mention that, because like I said, the boots are going to hit it no matter what, especially because of the Paragon and stuff. But yeah, I forgot to say that. One of my rings is cold resistant, and one of my gems is cold resistant. And then one of my rings is fire resistant, and one of my gems is fire resistant. Again, that's how I get the cap. A lot of people ask how I do that. But yeah, gear-wise, pretty much the same. Nothing really changed. Paragon definitely changed, though. I've done a lot of different things in the Paragon. I'll show you guys that, and the skill tree. And even Vampiric Powers, and I'll go over that here pretty quick. I'll just give you guys an overview of the stat sheet though. 2300 overpower, 1000 damage, again that mostly from the blood glyph, 200 core, 318 berserking, huge damage. Like, I have so much damage in the build, and then of course as much DR as well. Really, a lot of my DR comes from the Paragon, because my only true DR, aside from you get some here, I only have this chest that gives me most of my DR. But yeah, Fury Gen 112%, and then Max Fury, that's without unbuffed, right? 235. And I always am using the resourceful elixir every time, because it not only gives you more max resource, especially with Salig, it gives you more survivability, but it gives you a lot more damage as well. Just a win-win. And then for Vampiric, so one of the changes I did was Domination, and then in the skill tree you grab Concussion so that you stun them. And that's how you get, it's actually a lot more damage by doing that. One side effect of that though is, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but people are saying that Domination can bug out and you can kill yourself with it. If you get low health and get CC'd or something like that. I don't know. I think I've had it probably happen a couple times. I don't know. But other than that, this other stuff is the same. Ravenous is the same. Brand the Weak is the same. Blood Boy is the same. And Metamorphosis is the same. If you're having trouble and so keep in mind, this is the extreme sweat version of the build. If you're having trouble surviving, because again, you do have to play really well. You can't stand in stuff, like you're not immortal anymore. If you're playing right, you're immortal, but you mess up a mechanic, you could die. If you're having trouble surviving, just take Domination out and then put Resilience back in. That's what I would recommend if you're having trouble. If not, if you can handle it and do Domination, the damage increase is big, very noticeable. But yeah, in terms of Vampiric, that's that. Skill tree, a little different as well from before. Again, more damage base focused. I took this is all gone. And the rest, well, I put this stuff down here. I'll show you. The rest is pretty much the same up here, right? Lunging Strike just to get down here. Obviously max out HOTA. Grab Furious. Down here, get your one shout. To get up and get your tactical cry, get your tactical shout, and then power cry, right? Your shouts, that stuff's the same. This for the bleed, same. This I took out, again, took a lot of DR out because I don't really need it. If I'm playing right, I don't need it. And this is where, again, skill tree and again, that Vampiric aura. If you need more survivability, put in Resilience, and also you can swap things around here. Like, For example, I'm using Slaying Strike, and again, this makes a big difference, especially for finishing off elites, and especially for the boss fight. It helps noticeably. So Slaying Strikes in combination with Domination was a massive increase in damage. But you can see I got 2 points down here in Concussion, and again, that's to synergize with the Domination to get the stun off, to get that the 24 times or whatever. But this made a big difference. That in itself, I did that first. Somebody actually recommended that in the stream, tried it out and loved it. Like I said, finished off elites, very noticeable, and finishing off bosses, very noticeable. But yeah, prolific, I keep that up because the fury generation is pretty important. I keep that maxed. And then down here, same counteroffensive. These are the same, all maxed. And then you see here, I actually take 1 point out of invigorating fury. That's so that I can get the max Slaying Strike. Again, this is all min-max for as much damage as I could possibly do. So keep that in mind. So it's a little more risky, a little harder to play, but you can offset that stuff. Like I said, if you don't want to run Slaying Strike, take them points out, put them up here, right? Get some more health. If you need to, just shift stuff around instead of all damage, play around with it and get yourself some more defense if you need it, right? But again, this is the version that got me through my 20. I'm constantly pushing 20s, consistently pushing the timer, spawning the bosses with a couple minutes, 2.5 minutes. There's a lot of RNG involved, of course, but I'm able to constantly push 20s with this. I wouldn't say I'm farming 20s by any means, but definitely pushing them, and obviously cleared it. So, but yeah, some a little different from the meta. I've been playing this obviously since the start and have kind of stuck with it, but I enjoy it. The playstyle is fun, definitely challenging, especially if you're trying to push with it, play sweaty, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, skill tree wise, again, don't be afraid to make changes based on what you need. And then Paragon, again, and all this stuff will be down in the comment sections for anybody watching on YouTube. But the Paragon, I definitely changed up a lot, but I nailed it. I feel like I got everything I wanted in my Paragon somehow. Every point I wanted and more. I even have extra actually, because like this damage elite is kind of an overflow point. Obviously I'm gonna need overflow points. So once I get my Tears of Blood to 50, obviously I'm gonna need to crunch it and take some stuff out. But for now, like, it feels great. And like I said, I'll be able to once I get my glyph 50, because it's not 50 yet. You know, I'll re-crunch it at that time. But for now, I'm running Wrath first, and again, that's because it gives me more fury. That's the main point of that. The crit damage is whatever. Does help though. I will say getting more crit damage, like in the skill tree. I can't remember the name of it, but the 15 times actually makes a big difference in your damage. But yeah, so Wrath start out into Tears of Blood, of course, into the main Carnage. You don't actually get Carnage, but that board is insane, right? For that, that's the that's every barb, I think. And then I get this after I go, let's see, I go up, I think. Yeah. So I start here and I go up first and then get Warbringer and, put Ire in there, of course. And then I go up and get Bonebreaker, and then I come down and go over to the right, put Dominate in and pick up Decimator. And then over to the left, we go over and we got our Crusher and of course Blood Rage and every single Berserk node. Like I said, if you saw my damage berserking, it's crazy. I got every Berserk node. I got Decimator. I got all the damage I wanted that I've been trying for days to get. And my Max Fury, the only Max Fury I don't have is one node. Crazy. And like I said, I technically, when it comes to crunch time, it'll be pretty easy for me to pull that off. So Paragon, I'm very, very happy with. I think it's one of the strongest probably out there. It's yeah, I like it. At least I guess for what I was trying to do with this build. The Whirlwind tech is a little different, right? You need Weapon Master or whatever, but again, for what I'm doing, what I wanted to get out of my board, it took me a while, but I finally got it. Feels amazing. So, but again, in the description, or in the comments, I should say, if you're watching on YouTube, all this stuff will be there. Skill tree, Paragon, auras, gear, whatever. But I think that's actually it anyway. Yeah, we went over gear, we went over Vampiric Powers, skill tree. Expertise, of course, is two-handed axe. And yeah, like I said, hopefully the tips, hopefully people don't get annoyed by that, but the tips I gave, like once I got to Inner Calm, I wanted to explain how that works. And because again, I have people ask about it. I don't think people fully understood why I use Inner Calm, how it works, whatever. But it is strong. If once you understand it, once you do it right, it's a very strong. I feel like I have an insane amount of damage, considering You know, my glyph is what, 37, 38, something like that. Not even level 50 yet. And, you know, I'm not snapshotting. I'm not doing any kind of exploit type stuff. Feels super strong, super fun. But again, this current version, if you follow it to a T, will be, you got to understand it. You got to be on your toes, depending on the mob type, especially. Don't get hit by lunatics, especially if you don't have defense. If you have a challenging shout up or whatever, it's a little different. But again, that's where you need to have your situational awareness. And as you practice, like if you have a lot of mobs and you have lunatics, if you don't have challenging shout up, you're probably going to get one shot. But if you have it up, you're fine. Or if you dodge out of the way of it, right? So again, it's going to take a little trial and error, a little practice. But once you get it, once you understand it, it all makes sense. It all comes together. It's a lot of fun to play. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else really. I think I went over everything. If I didn't, stop by the stream, twitch.tv/Merkadis. If you're watching on YouTube, come ask me, whatever. If I missed something, I'm not even sure. Or if you have any insight, any ideas on how I could fit Banished Lord, that's what I'm going to try next. That's the hope. If I can do that, pull that off, I think my damage would be absolutely wild. But yeah, so I'll be playing around with that the next few days, I'm sure. But anyways, yeah, good luck. Anybody trying it out, hopefully that helps. And hopefully you guys have a lot of fun with it. Much love. And GG's. Good luck out there.